kick off, get us started on the recording. Hello. All right, here we go. Let's get this party started. We are recording, so thank you guys all for coming to this webinar today on closing. How's my audio? Lighting is a little better? All right, cool. So my name's Tasha. What we're gonna go over today is we're gonna talk about selling stuff and closing and this whole concept of selling kits to customers. You're probably wondering who the heck are these Emerge people and are they qualified to tell us anything? And I think that's a valid question. So we'll talk about that a little bit. We'll go over some big picture concepts for closing, and then I'm going to give you 5 key areas to help make closing an enjoyable process for you and your customer. How does that sound to everyone? Sound good? Okay, cool. So my plan here is hi Chelsea, welcome. This is a 90-minute webinar, and there's going to be, I think you guys did they win? Are they the winners on the biggest webinar so far? I think you might be.
I think so.
404 was our last one, and you guys were like 370 day before yesterday. So this is going to be a huge webinar, and there's going to be tons of questions. I cannot teach you everything I know about selling and answer all your questions in the hour and 10 minutes I have allotted for teaching, but we are going to give you the best stuff. So here's what we'll do. If you have questions, if you just need to clarify something that I say, then go ahead and interrupt me, we'll do it. If you have additional questions, go ahead and put them in the chat. Kristen, if you could just write down all those questions. Once we get through the core stuff, I lack discipline when it comes to training, and I always go over. So I need your help so that we don't go over. Is that fair? Will you guys help me with that? Okay. So Kristen, if you could write down all the additional questions, whatever time we have at the end, I will answer those. Deal? Okay, cool. And then at the end, we're going to give you our best stuff. At the end, if you feel like you want to move forward, you'll be able to decide. We'll spend about 10 minutes going over our training program, and if that's something you like to do, cool. If not, no big deal. Okay. So Brianna and Chelsea, do you guys want to tell everyone, why did you rally the troops? Go ahead, unmute yourself. Oh, you just muted yourself, Chelsea.
Yeah. Oh. Okay, you can hear me now? I am such a bad example. I'm driving here. Give my phone.
Oh no.
Son here. Okay, why did I rally the troops? Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay. I rallied the troops because for the first time in my entire business, I feel like I can breathe because I get it. Like, what we're doing has become, for the first time, it's simple, it's organized, it's not expensive, it's working, it's effective, and it feels natural and comfortable. Like, that's never happened for me. This has been hard and awkward. Nobody knows that except a smile on my face. But I feel like jumping on a building and singing songs about it for the world to hear, because I'm so excited about how effective and simple this has become. And I can see that a simple person like me, I didn't come into this with skills. I'm a mom who's just going to be a mom. And so for me, anyone can actually do this. Anyone who practices a few things can do this and does the work, obviously. But that's why I want to tell everyone about this. I feel like it's saving my business, and I feel like I can do it again and be peaceful with it and have a life as well. And that's never been the case before now.
Cool. I love that. And we are seeing your hand, by the way. But that's cool.
Hi.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and mute you. And then I just had a moment. It's Brianna, not Brianna.
Brianna.
Oh my gosh, I was just like had a panic attack.
You got it, girl.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm so excited to have everybody here. For the past couple months, I don't know, 3 months or something, I can hardly even sleep because this has brought so much excitement into my business. I feel like over time, this business has just gotten super mysterious, and maybe it always was mysterious and I just didn't know it. But all of a sudden this like ray of light has come through of like, oh my gosh, duplication is really achievable when we just simplify this whole process and we focus on the customer and what they would want to hear and how to really bring them to a close, which is what we're going to chat about today, versus barfing all this awesome education that we're so passionate about, but they're like, I don't even know how this applies to me. So I feel like this just brings order to it all because there is so much. So this brings simplification and order to it all. And it just helps us to really strategically focus on our skills. And yes, they're sales skills, but really it's all about increasing confidence and effectiveness when sharing oils. Because honestly, like we all want the same thing. We want oils in every home. Well, guess what? If you get good at sales, and that's okay to be good at sales because that's what gets oils in every home. It helps the customer to see this applies to me and I get it and I want what you have to offer. And so I think that if we can just take away the mysterious, take away all the drama surrounding sales and what do I say and how do I do it and when do I do it and all that, like if we can just cut all that nonsense out, we're able to show up really calm and confident and serve the customer, get oils in homes, and ta-da, we also get a paycheck. How cool is that? So I think that this has just really brought a lot of simplification where it's like, if I have somebody new that starts, I know what I'm going to do to get them rolling, and it's not mysterious, and I'm not trying to have them do it the same way that I did it, because honestly, that was kind of hard and I loved it, but I don't know that I would ever want anybody to do it in the way that I did, because I did get to a point of burnout where it wasn't duplicable. And so I'm just really excited for everybody to get to hear from Tasha and just get to hear the simplicity that she brings to all this. And she's got a serious math brain, so that's awesome too. She'll help you be strategic.
Cool. Well, thank you so much. You mentioned drama, so let's start talking about it. First thing on the list today, oh, by the way, there's construction around my house. I have asthma. Sorry. We didn't want to cancel a 400-person webinar. But if I have to cough a little bit, I do have the diffuser running. I'm doing all the things I'm supposed to be doing right now. I promise. But it's pretty bad. So if you just hang with me, I appreciate it. So let's talk about closing. What you talked about drama. What is hard about closing and making sales? Go ahead and lay it on me. Unmute yourself. And Brianna, you might need to go first so that people feel brave.
Well, I think I touched on one thing with it. It's just, it feels awkward. Like, oh gosh, how do I say it? When's the right time to say it? And so there's this beat around the bush and stall and let's avoid it and let's just see if they'll bring it up. And so there's just all this awkwardness around it when it really could be simple if we just got out of our head and practiced it beforehand, so that it's like, oh, I already know what I'm going to say when that situation comes up. And in fact, I'm going to say it before it comes up so that it actually gets to that point instead of just, fiddling around. So that's one thing that comes to mind, just the awkwardness.
Does anyone else struggle with what do I even say when it's time to make the sale? Like, the content backwards and forwards in a class and all the different products and stuff, but then it's like the end and it's like this dun 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 and this super weird. Anyone else or just me? I'll also awkwardly transition to closing today, so you can see a great example of that. Okay, what else? Thank you. Carmen in the chat put, when someone says I'd like to take this home and think about it, can I just buy one oil? So just like all the different situations that come up. Does anyone struggle with being like high pressure, not wanting to come across as high pressure or pushy?
Tasha?
Yeah, go ahead.
Totally, and I think that in terms of our culture and my team culture as a general whole, there's a lot of moms who were never salespeople. We never want to be salespeople. We hate salespeople. They're obnoxious, and we just don't want to be like that, right? And so that is a huge concern and something we've tried to diffuse over time, but then we suck at selling because of it. So, yeah.
Okay, so I heard a couple things. First, we don't want to be that person, right? Who else does not want to be that person? Okay. It's hard, right? Knowing what to say. So if you don't want to be that person, but then you struggle with some other stuff. Does anyone ever, like with the whole that person, does anyone struggle with the whole friends and family thing? Like, what I find is a lot of people will struggle with is, I love this person so much, you have to have it, but I still want to be invited to the next party. Okay, does anyone here struggle with that balance? Yeah, okay. So I'll put friends and family. Let's do one or two more. What other struggles do you have with closing and sales? Okay, so Danielle says family is the hardest to sell to. Anything else? Kristen, is there anything that we missed that we usually get?
Hey, Tasha, I thought of one more thing.
Okay, go ahead.
Doing it on your first appointment or your first time together, like your first time talking to them about it. And so that you're not just chasing people like, oh, we talked about oils 2 years ago and I'm still trying to get her to get something, you know? So getting a sell right away.
Yeah. So like, how does that work? And then also, does anyone else just hate following up? It's okay to say it. So this is a place where we're actually going to talk about all the stuff that no one wants to talk about. I'm actually pretty lazy. I don't like following up at all. So, and that also like goes to like the whole high pressure and pushy. So like, what is enough, right? Like, what's the right amount of follow up? How do I follow up and help people? Oh, that's kind of a mess. And then Carrie puts, I struggle with friends, tell me they're financially strapped, but they want oil. So does anyone else struggle with the whole money stuff? Like navigating all that? Okay, cool. So Holly and Michelle are nodding their heads. Shauna's baby is also nodding his head. Yeah, I get it. Her head? His head. Her? All right. I can't tell. I can't see the color of the clothes. Okay, and knowing when to follow up. I don't want to be annoying people. Okay. So these are pretty common challenges, and I appreciate everyone sharing those today because we're going to be able to make a lot of headway today on these things. So that's cool. So let me just give you a little bit of background on where does all this emerge stuff come from, because I think it's important. So I'm actually not an active doTERRA wellness advocate, but I'm going to ask you not to hang up, not to leave the Zoom call, because I have one redeeming quality, and that is I'm a doTERRA customer. So here's how I got into this. So I'm a salesperson, sales trainer by trade. So has anyone ever heard of Cutco knives? Cutco knives, yeah? Okay, cool. So I was that kid in college who sold knives to pay for college. And then afterwards I was promoted. I ran my own office. So my job was to teach 18-year-old kids how to sell $1,000 sets of knives to housewives with their husbands were at home and leave with referrals. So that's what I did. And I did well. I sold over 120,000 personally, and I have over $1.2 million in knife sales. But in my mid-20s, I thought it'd be a good idea to get a real job. So I went into the corporate world. And so I was a new hire trainer, sales manager, did really well there for 11 years. But if you guys can tell from my closet, my kids are young. So they're 5 and 7 right now. So 2 years ago, they were 3 and 5. And I live in Southern California. So I was driving 1 hour and 15 minutes to and from work on a job where I'd maxed out on my pay and had no opportunity for advancement. What do you guys think about that? Yeah? Good? No, not at all, right? So I was like, okay, I'm going to be here for the next 30 years in the same job. That was super comfortable, or I need to make a change. And so sales managers, the problem with sales managers, they usually have to start from the bottom up. And that didn't sound very fun to me because I'd been, in sales and sales training for 16 years. And so I thought, well, I'll just start my own business and I'm going to teach people how to sell stuff. So I put up a little website, put up a podcast, and was just kind of tinkering around while I was, kind of going about my life trying to figure out what I was going to do. And I was at karate one day, my kids go to karate, and my friend Catherine comes up to me And she kind of nervously hands me this little index card. I think her eyes were closed. She's like, will you come to my essential oils class? And I have no idea what an essential oil is. My dad's an internist. My in-laws are pharmacists. We're those people. If I even showed you guys our cabinets, you would probably get, I don't know how you would respond. But we're those people, right? And so I was like, okay, well, you sell stuff. So I snarkily responded, I will come to your class if you listen to my podcast, which had 5 episodes at the time. So she listens to the podcast. She sends me a text like, hey, I think I might want to coach with you. And I was like, okay, I don't even know how this works, but let's do it. So I go to her class. And is it cool if I level with you guys on the class? Okay. And I have Catherine's permission to tell this story, so we're good. And technically, I think she did everything right. Right? So I go to the class. Guess how many other customers are there other than me? Okay, so Danielle got it. Danielle says 0. How many wellness advocates do you think are there? Sarah says 2. Danielle says 2. Keep going. Okay, Michelle says 3. Chelsea says 4. So there are 3. There's obviously Catherine, her enroller, and then her potential new builder. 3 salespeople, 1 customer. What do you guys think? Okay, now while we're waiting for the other customers, I get Zytoscan. So now I have a 3-page report on all the essential oils and supplements my body needs. Do I know what an essential oil is? No. Okay, so now I have this sheet. We sit down. They tell me everything that I need to know. I think I need to know. I frankly don't remember very much of it. But I trusted Catherine. And so at the end, I bought Serenity because my daughter Haley was losing her mind during the whole class. And then Deep Blue Rub because I commute 3 hours a day or 2.5 hours a day. Right? That makes sense. And I paid the $35 fee. But the best part is I won the drawing. And we went home with a breathe stick. And did you guys know that stuff is amazing? So my daughter was on Singular. Zoe was on Singular every single day. And I rubbed that stuff on her chest, and she didn't have any issues anymore. And I said, what is this? So I go to work on Monday. And I was like, hey, guys, how's your weekend, right? Do the normal manager thing. And like, how's your weekend? I was like, I bought hippie oils. They're like, you bought hippie oils? I said, I bought hippie oils. Blah, 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 blah. And so they're like, okay, we'll buy hippie oils too. And I figured out at that point that I needed a kit, which we'll talk about in a moment. So I ordered a family physician's kit at the time. That was the name. And then a bunch of stuff for my friends on my account, obviously, so they could get a discount. But I did it on a one-time order because LRP was super confusing when I read it on the site. What do you guys think about that? Bummer, right? But Catherine did everything right. She set up her wellness consult within 1 week. Like, she did everything right. But that's kind of how things were set up, right? And so that's how I became a customer. And so I started coaching Catherine, and we fixed the class. And she went from making $50 a month for 2 years straight to making $450 that next month. So then her enroller paid attention, and I started coaching her enroller, and she enrolled 12 people in 1 month. And her enroller paid attention. And the 4th person up happens to be a blue diamond. And so when the Fast Start check started hitting her, she was like, what's going on? And so I started working with her, and we did some one-on-one coaching, but we also coached all her silvers and above. And their team went from 396 enrollments last September to almost 800 in October. So then her enroller hired me, and Kristen and I haven't really slept since. We now have close to 2,000 students in doTERRA. And have you guys noticed that the Home Essentials kit has sold out 4 times in the past 6 months?
Oh my gosh, is that right?
Is that normal? So for those of you that are nodding your head and said, yes, you noticed, I'll say exactly. And for those of you that are shaking your head and saying you haven't noticed, I will say exactly. Welcome to the webinar. The reason I tell you the story and how we got into this is not to make fun of Catherine, although that's always fun. But it's to help you to understand that I am not your upline who is saying, hey, we need you to sell more stuff. I'm your customer who is begging you, for the love of God, will you please sell us kits? please. Because who benefits the most from the sale of a kit? Go ahead and unmute yourself for the people in the replay. Okay, Danielle says me. The customer, right? But it's not enough just for me to be educated, and it's not enough for me to have one or two things. So I bought Serenity and Deep Blue, right? When my daughters, one of my daughters is puking, do those help me? What do I need? Go ahead, and I need you guys to unmute yourself, otherwise this is just going to be a boring replay for the rest of the people.
Digestion.
I need Digestin. I need a kit, right, Sarah?
Yeah.
And I actually need it on my dresser at the time of puking. Because it's not enough for me just to be educated, right? So you could educate me, but when my kid is puking, can I take this piece of paper, rub it on her belly, and she'll feel better? What do I actually need?
The oils.
I actually need the stuff. I need it on my dresser. And, you know, I think that that's really important to understand. Who of you really believes in the life-changing properties of your products? Yeah? Okay, so we got a bunch of hand raises. Then I will argue that you have a moral and an ethical obligation to learn how to sell well. Because if you don't learn how to sell well, I miss out. Right? And so I just think, you know, from a customer's perspective, it's just really important that you learn how to do this well. But we don't want to become a salesperson. I think Chelsea mentioned it. I think Brianna, I think a few of you guys mentioned it. Salespeople are the worst, right? Why are they the worst? They're high pressure, they're pushy, they talk a lot, right? And so we don't want to be that person. Who does not want to be that person? You're like, I will never be a salesperson. They're the worst. Okay. So then what happens is we run away from sales training. Not going to do it. I'm not going to go to sales training. I'm not a salesperson. I'm going to share whatever, right? And we go over here and we go to mindset training. Because if we believe hard enough, we'll be able to do this. And then all we're left with is telling our story and following up, right? Can you think of anything more high pressure and pushy than talking about yourself and following up until someone buys or dies? No? And so in an attempt, this is where we face palm a little bit. So in an attempt to not be that person, who have we become? Go ahead and say something.
You've become that person.
Yeah, oops. Right? And so what if instead we leaned in to learning how to sell? Who here has interacted with a really good salesperson? Okay, cool. So Danielle, Sarah, Lisa, Michelle, would one of you guys tell me what that's like? Go ahead and unmute yourself. How does it feel?
No pressure.
No pressure, right, Michelle? Go ahead, Danielle.
No, you're good.
Same thing.
Comfortable.
Sarah says comfortable, right? Do you feel cared for? You feel like you're in charge, and you leave happy, right?
Tasha, I feel like when I've worked with good salespeople, they allow me to sell myself.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they just guide the conversation in the right way to the point where I'm like, I chose it. They didn't push me. It was my choice, right? That's when it feels good. That's when the experience feels really great because it's like, I chose it.
Totally. It is a joy to work with a great salesperson. Yeah. It's the untrained salespeople that make us crazy. Those people that are high pressure and pushy that you don't like, they're not trained. The trained ones are the ones you love. And so that's why we need to learn how to sell. Another reason I think people don't want to learn how to sell is because so much sales training out there is reactive. It's like overcoming objection training. Have you guys heard that term before? Oh, I just, yeah, they're just cringe. Totally. It's like, well, you know, it's only a Frappuccino a day, and you're trying to convince the customer why they're wrong. Right? Does anyone here like doing that? No. And then a lot of other training is like follow-up strategies, right? How many times have you been told to follow up? Okay, so Heather says 3. Lisa's smirking. Too many all the time. Chelsea, go ahead.
Tasha, they've told us over and over and over that fortune is in the follow-up. And so that's where you just go and you follow up forever.
Okay, so.
Oh, and we've also heard that it takes, 4 touches?
I've heard 7 touches.
Maybe like
much rather
there's
be
a certain amount of times that you've got to touch before it works. I love that Brooke's like thousands of times. We're just gonna follow up with them until they get oils in their house.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so I've heard 7 as kind of a standard, and so this is how this feels. How about now? What about now? How about now? How about now? We're only on 4. How about now? How about now? What about now? Now, who wants to go to a training on how to do that? No? Okay, me neither. And like I said earlier, I'm super lazy. That's a lot of work. And then the other problem is but it works, right? Follow-up does work. Have you guys ever followed up with someone for 6 months and they bought a kit? Yeah, right? And you're like, sweet, I finally got an enrollment. Want to do the business? And they're like, wait, you want me to give away product, follow up for 6 months, make $22? That sounds amazing. Sign me up. And we sit here, we're like, I have a recruiting problem. You don't have a recruiting problem, you have a sales problem. And so we teach proactive closing. Proactive closing. And what that means is we already know what's going to happen. So what if we just handled it before it came up so that they just say yes at the end? Without a ton of follow-up, and without having to overcome objections. And when we talk about closing, is we use that word, and probably some of you are like, I can't believe they just say closing so much. And it's because most people's definition of closing is to convince someone to do something that they don't want to do. But our definition of closing is to help someone do something that they already want to do. Can you guys live with that definition? Help someone move forward on an action they already want to take. So that's what we're talking about. And so what we want to do is proactively. Now, who here has been selling doTERRA for more than a day or 2? Okay, cool. Now we got some of the babies on. They don't have to answer this question. We'll get to them in about 5 years, which is when I think sales training should begin, age 5. Maybe earlier. Okay, all joking aside, what are the reasons customers don't buy? Go ahead and unmute yourself and tell me what they tell you.
I've
No
had
money.
somebody. Oh, sorry.
Oh yeah, we're excited about this question.
I've had lots of people tell me I have to talk to my husband first.
Yep.
I can't because of money.
Okay, so no money, spouse. Need to talk to my spouse. Thank you, Lisa. What else? Danielle, you were going to share something?
Money's the number one thing, almost always.
Okay. I see. Oh, go ahead, Shauna.
They want to see if it works first, like they just want to buy one or a sample.
Okay, so I want to buy 1 or 2. Does it work? What else? So I see some in the chat. Expensive. I can buy it somewhere else. They're not sure they're safe. That's what I see. They don't like MLMs. Yeah, there's various concerns that come along with that, right? I don't want to sell this stuff. Has anyone ever gotten resistance because of that? Okay. Oh, my pen is not good. We'll switch to pencil. Membership. So basically, I'm afraid of commitment. I don't know how it works. Has anyone ever had someone who wanted to research? And you're like, I just talked to you for 2 hours.
Or Tasha, once you've done all the education and they just ask for a sample.
Ugh.
And I think that that's something that we really need to address, because we love people so much. We want them to experience the oils. Like there's sweetness to that, right? Like it matters to us that they get to experience it, because sometimes that's all it takes is that experience for them to be like, oh my gosh, my life has changed, you know? So that just finding that balance between, you know, selling and over sampling.
Sure. You want to talk about sampling today?
Please do. Yes.
I don't know. I might get in trouble.
You gotta
protect me at convention.
pop the cork.
You guys are gonna protect me. Okay. I wrote down no money, husband, doesn't work, 1 to 2 things, expensive, they could buy it somewhere else like Amazon or Walmart. Not sure they're safe. They just have a lot of issues with the MLMs. They don't want to sell, commitment, not sure how it works. Research, try it first. I think I saw think about it. Are there any that I missed?
Tasha, my experience was that I was invited to a class consistently for 9 months, and I was just too busy to go. I was sincerely interested, but I just was too busy to go to the class that was scheduled.
Yeah, okay, so can I put too busy to learn? Is that like, and that kind of encompasses not only the class concern, but also, like, if you ever had someone who's like, I don't know if I have the time to figure out how to use it. And then I guess I'm seeing a few, just the interaction with, how does all this work with traditional medicine? Just the two worlds, right? So I'm just going to write traditional medicine conflict. Okay, cool. So we have a saying here at Emerge. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me every day of my entire career, shame on me. And all this means is we already know this is going to come up, right? So let's stop being surprised, right? Let's not get to the end and they're like, I've talked to my husband, we're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening. Let's prepare for this ahead of time because we know all these things are going to come up. And so that's what we're going to go over today. We're going to talk about how to proactively address these. Okay? How does that feel to everyone? Okay. How are we doing so far? We okay? We're good? Okay. So let's get into the 5 areas that make closing an enjoyable process for you and the customers. So these are like keys, pillars, I don't know what to call them exactly. They're more than just tips. They're really foundational components. The first one is to set up an appointment. Set up an appointment. And some of the verbiage I'm going to write down, Kristen's going to put it in the chat as well. So don't sell on the fly. So what is selling on the fly? Selling on the fly is going to the park with your kids or your babies. I see all the babies. With your doTERRA hat and your doTERRA backpack and your doTERRA keychain. And then, oh my gosh, someone asked you about doTERRA. What are the odds? And then what do we do? Okay, you got to unmute yourself. The people on the replay will only see who's speaking. Go ahead, Chelsea or Brianna. Go ahead.
Puke. We puke on them. We tell them everything we know.
And then what happens to their face? Okay, and then what do we do? How do we respond to the face?
Good question.
So sometimes we'll just back off, but how many of you just start talking faster?
Probably true. Embarrassing.
Right? You just double down, right? Like you'll talk faster, give them more. Here, try a sample, right? Now, does that person end up buying a kit? And so whose life is negatively impacted in that moment? Now, some of you are saying yourself, but let's take a step back. The customer, right? Because you still have your oils. I need you to take a minute to really understand. Someone broke into your house last night. They took all your oils. Hippie burglar. How do you feel? I want you to imagine going 6 hours without applying an oil or a supplement. Can you do it?
There's no way.
Okay.
No.
That is how your customers live every single day of their lives. So I'll ask again. Who is negatively impacted when the sale of a kit is not made?
The customer.
Customer. So we cannot throw up on them. It doesn't help serve them. I want you to imagine that your essential oils business is growing so much that you need a virtual assistant, but you're like, I have to get a contract. I don't even know how to write contracts, and you're kind of overwhelmed by this process. So you're stressed out, and you go to your friend's wedding. You go to the wedding, and what luck, you end up seated with a contracts lawyer. Nice. Now, does this contracts lawyer tell you everything he or she knows about contracts? Why not?
Well, the contract lawyer is probably a professional. Like, they're just professional and they're cool about it. We're a little unprofessional and really excited.
Yeah, be cool.
You know, I think the contract lawyer is not stressed about whether or not you are going to purchase their services. They know that if you purchase their services, then they can share what they know with you.
Yeah, totally. They're confident, right? And what does the lawyer do? The lawyer doesn't tell you everything, because how would that make you feel? What would happen to your face? Yeah, totally. You'd freak out. And would that actually help you? No. And so the contracts lawyer says, you know what? I can totally help you. Let's set up an appointment. And who does that serve? It serves the customer. And then by proxy, the lawyer's business grows. Because you're not in a position to take in all that information at a wedding. And so we need to do the same thing when we're interacting with people. Instead of telling them everything, right? Is your friend in the park, or your new friend, maybe, in a position to make a decision on your product in that scenario? No. So let's give them an opportunity to do that by setting up an appointment. And so instead of telling them everything you know, what if you did this instead? What if you said, hey, Danielle, what I usually do is set up an appointment. We can go over your health goals, a little bit about the company and the most popular kits. My part will take about a half an hour. You don't have to buy anything, but if you see something you like, I'll help you order it. Is that something you'd be open to? Now, how do you think most people respond to that? Danielle's like, yeah. What does everyone else think?
Sorry,
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
For me, that establishes a relationship of respect. I feel respected. I feel like honored versus like boundaries crossed.
Yeah. Go ahead, Lisa.
And I lost my train of thought. I get people saying, well, let me check my calendar. That kind of putting me off when I say, yeah, I'd like to set up an appointment with you.
Well, you have to say it exactly like that. But just in general, I mean, like as far as the troubleshooting, how do you think people normally just respond versus the vomiting?
Better.
Like, what do you think? Like, are they more positively reacting to you?
Yeah.
So troubleshooting appointment times is one thing.
Yeah.
When you actually say, hey, let's set up an appointment, let's talk in a safe space, do they give you the face?
No.
Okay. Do they smile?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So why? Why do they respond so positively to this approach?
Because I've shown them the respect of their time, I think.
Yeah. Can we talk a little bit about why people don't like network marketers?
They think it's a pyramid scheme.
What does that even mean? But network marketers are not known for being tactful. And they're kind of sneaky is the idea, right? So the idea, and this is not you guys, the doTERRA people, I'm like amazed at how awesome you are. but they'll like say, oh, we're going to do this, but then they do something else, right? Or have you ever been to something that it was supposed to be this amount of time, but it was like forever? Or you're like cornered there feeling like you had to buy something, right? And so the reason this is super helpful is that you're going to tell them exactly what you're going to cover. Okay, we're going to cover your health goals, a little bit about the company, and the most popular kits. Okay? My part will take about 30 minutes. Okay, so they know that you're going to respect their time. And then we're going to tell them the honest to God truth. Do they have to buy something? Can they if they want to? Okay, is that true or not true, that statement? You don't have to buy anything, but if you see something you like, I'll help you order it. Okay, did you notice how every single one of you nodded your heads when I said that? Probably not, but you did, because it's a fair agreement, right? And so when I say to you, you don't have to buy anything, but if you see something you like, I'll help you order it, you're like, well, that makes perfect sense. And so they relax. And then we do something no network marketer in the history of time has ever done. Ask consent. Is that something you'd be open to? One of my clients has been blind added at the time, this was 3 months ago, so I'm sure it's more, blind added to 237 Lulu road groups. How do you think she feels about that? Do you think she's like, sweet, another Lulu road group that I got blind? No, right? Consent is super important. It's respectful, it's kind, and we need to make sure that we have that. And when you give people an opportunity to do that, they say, sure. Now, let's say you have someone who says, no, not really into that stuff. Then what can you do? All right, you know where to find me if you change your mind. And you know what? You can still be friends. You don't have to follow up with them until they die. Okay, so how do we feel about this concept of appointment setting? Yeah? Cool. Now, how many of you guys think that you could set up 2 appointments like this a week using that? And with our closing percentages, which are like 60 to 70%, that would be 5 enrollments a month. Whose business would transform if you enrolled 5 people every month? Awesome. Cool. Okay, so set up an appointment. Now, you can use that same structure if you're inviting people to classes. We love one-on-ones. Closing percentage is higher, average order is higher. And any introverts on the line? Calling all introverts? All right, cool. So guess what? You can do it too without feeling like you're going to puke. You can just set up an appointment and meet with people. Now, a lot of people in the past have done the sample and follow-up strategy. So Brianna wants to talk about it. So let's talk about it. Sampling seems like it should make a lot of sense, right? Like if you think about it, it's like, well, yeah, if they use it, they'll love it, they'll buy it, right? Doesn't that make sense? But does sampling work as well as it's supposed to? Oh, we got some hard head nods.
One of the biggest issues with sampling is a lot of times you have people where you give them a sample, but they don't have the education to really truly know how to use it, or they'll put it in their purse and forget about it. And so, you know, even when you follow up, hey, have you had a chance to try this sample? Oh, no, you know, I just forgot about it or whatever. And so that ends up with me constantly following up with them and them never actually using it.
Yeah, totally. Like it should totally work. And I get that. But for some reason it doesn't.
Tasha,
so let's talk about why. Yeah, go ahead.
I've had a lot of great experience with sampling, and I think a lot of the people on the call have had. Like that's why we've built our business in this way, because sampling really it's paid off in a lot of ways, right? But I think that it's just time to do it in a smarter way that really does help the customer more long term, and it helps us to not be chasing people. I think one thing that happens with sampling is that as soon as we give a sample, they don't have any reason to buy, and that ends up that cycle of follow-up for weeks. Because typically when somebody's got a sample, they're set for a week, 2 weeks, even a month, depending on what you've given them. And so I think that that's the biggest thing, is just being clear on, even if we do sample, just doing it in a different way even. So just kind of playing around with the whole concept of, potentially eliminating it as much as possible, but then understanding having a healthy way to do it if it is done.
Yeah, totally. And I'm not talking about like this hard and fast rule. Like sometimes people take this conversation like, Tasha said never. Tasha didn't say that. Tasha just asked, does it work as well as it's supposed to, and why? Or why not? So let's talk about some different scenarios, right? And kind of let's see where we go. Because certainly it does work in some instances, but let's look at why. Can we do that? And look at life from the customer's eyes. That's what I hope we do today, is look at life from the customer's eyes. So let's look at scenario number 1, Danielle mentioned. Have you ever sampled someone who never used it? You're like, did you use that sample? How about now? How about now? How about now? Okay, can we agree that's not a great scenario? Okay, scenario number 2. I'm your roommate from college, and I have a cold. You see it on Facebook, and you're like, yes, here's my chance. And do not pretend you haven't thought that. So you send me a sample of Breathe. Now, I've never heard of essential oils. And so I try your Breathe, and what else? What do I do? See, if you don't know, it's going to be hard to sell to people like me. What do I do with your Breathe?
You put it to the side.
No, well, this time I'm going to use it because you're my best friend from college. But you know what I do with the Breathe? I pour it in my vapor rub. I know. Because I'm really sick. So I take NyQuil, DayQuil, Sudafed. I drink half a bottle of wine. I sleep for 14 hours. And I put your Breathe in my vapor rub. And you call me the next day or the day after. And you say, hey, hi, you sound like you're feeling great. I feel great. And you're like, how was the Breathe? And what do I say? Go ahead and unmute yourself. Come on, hook the replay people. Go ahead, Chelsea.
You say it was great. Because it was part of the deal. It was like, oh.
And you're like, how did you like the Breathe? And you're like, well, I don't know if it was that or if it was this or. Okay, has that happened to anyone?
Yeah.
Okay, and then how do you respond?
Want to try another sample?
Okay, so can we agree that is not a great situation? Okay, scenario number 3, I try the Breathe, right? Give me the Breathe, I have the cold, you call me back, and I say, I love it. Stuff is awesome. What's my next question?
How do I buy it?
How much is it?
And then how do you respond?
Let's schedule a meeting.
Yeah. Well, you do that now, Lori. But how did we used to respond?
Let's talk about LRP.
Yeah. Well, you know what, Tasha? It depends. You can buy it wholesale. You can buy it retail. You could actually, it's totally cheaper if you buy a kit. Or you can come to a class. And then what happens to my face?
You're overwhelmed and you exit out.
And then I'm like, come on, you're like, just level with me, girl. How much is the Breathe? You're like $55 plus a 1-year membership. And then what do?
Shut down.
Yeah, maybe later.
Mm-hmm.
Too expensive. Talk to my husband. Right? So can we agree that's not a great scenario?
Yeah.
Now, scenario number 4 is what Brianna's talking about. People do buy. Okay? So you give them a sample. They're like, this is amazing. They ask you how much it is. You do the wholesale retail class, kit dance. And they're like, can we just talk about this for a second? Okay? And somehow you end up in this conversation where you talk about their life, you talk about their goals, you connect the dots for them, and you say, you know what? I think this is the kit you should get. Isn't that how they bought? Is that what happens usually? Or they just say, I had a sample and I want to buy everything you make? Or do you have a conversation?
Have to have a conversation.
Have a conversation, right? And then they buy. And so the question is, just the challenge is, do they buy because of the sample or because of the conversation?
Oh, conversation.
Conversation.
Yeah.
So the people, if you were to think back to the people that you sampled, for the most part, right? We always have outliers that you're going to need to improvise on. Okay, so I'm talking about most people. If you would have said, usually what I do is set up an appointment, blah, 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 blah. Would they have set up an appointment with you? And would they have bought anyways?
Maybe.
So just think about that. So is it the conversation, right? Or was it specifically the sample that did that, right? Think about why customers buy. Yeah, so those are just the things to think about. Was there something specific that you wanted to chat about, Brianna? 'Cause you wanted to bring it up?
So I know you're saying it's not a hard rule that never sample. It's just let's be smarter about it and not go there first, right? So because we have so many people that their hearts are crying right now a little bit over this, because it hurts a little bit to think, what? Wait a second, this is rocking my world. How can sampling be done in a healthy way? And when is it appropriate to sample? And I think Janelle may have mentioned letting them purchase samples. And so could you maybe just touch on that super quick? And I know you have a lot of other great stuff to go into, so just stay here forever.
Well, I think we have to be unattached to the process, the sales process. We have to think not about what makes us feel good, but what's going to help a customer get a kit. And so we feel good giving away stuff, but does that actually help people get a kit? And I think that's really the first thing to look at is it working for you? Okay, that's the number one thing. So here, let's math a little. For those of you that have a sample and follow-up strategy, and you pass out 10 samples, how many people buy kits from your experience? Okay, 2 to 3. What does everyone else think? 2? Okay, we usually get 1 or 2. How much does it cost to send out samples? $3 a sample. So we spend $30, make 22, so we haven't really made a lot. The appointment setting model. Okay, so ultimately what you choose to do with giving away samples is your responsibility, your decision in your business. My stance is it's the appointment that does everything. Essential oils do not sell themselves. Okay, my kids are into superheroes. And what I imagine when people say essential oils sell themselves, and I imagine this little essential oil, like the oil's coming out of the bottle and forming a human who takes orders. So you watch a lot of superheroes, right? What sells stuff is really being in tune with customers' needs, caring about them, and moving forward. Sampling creates a lot of objections that make it harder to sell. So that's, I guess, what I want you to think through and make your own decision. Because if this is something that's super important to you, I would schedule the appointment and maybe give them something in the middle. The problem is you're going to get so many 1 to 2 oil concerns that you're, in a lot of instances, in most instances, you're going to be backpedaling. And so, I mean, I think sampling makes a lot of sense for customers who've already purchased, right? I think sampling makes sense as a last-ditch effort, but maybe if they buy it. But maybe actually what will help people to understand this is if we go through the rest of the content, and then I'm going to ask you a question at the end. Is that fair? Just, and I mean, I feel like there's probably ways to do it. I just haven't seen the math show me that they work. And I guess that's why I hesitate. So there's like things that should work. So you should be able to schedule an appointment and give someone something in between. But what if it doesn't have the mind-blowing effect that you've promised? Like there's so many risks involved that I just get really concerned because I'm a math nerd who looks at, you know, MBA dorks, right? We look at risk mitigation and pros and cons and all sorts of annoying things. And so when we look at the math, it just, I think it's different than it was 7 years ago. And maybe that's the big thing, right? So when you look at a lot of people who built their businesses, who are they building their businesses with? Okay, so here's a math idea. Maybe this will help. I don't know, we'll see. So there's a 20-60-20 rule in sales. So you guys said about 20% of people buy no matter what, right? Or 20% of people will buy off samples. 20-60-20 rule, 20% of people will buy no matter what, 60% of people, or 20% of people will not buy no matter what, 60% is up to you. 7 years ago, 9 years ago, right, was when doTERRA started. 7 years ago is when, boom, explosion, right? And all the people that are presidential diamonds, blue diamonds, they start in this 1 to 2 year time frame. Who are they selling to? The 20%, right? They were selling to people who love natural solutions, who want to learn about stuff, right? Who want to try samples. Who are you selling to today? Are you selling to moms who homeschool and have organic gardens? Or are you selling to people like me who put their lavender in their steroid cream? Who are you selling to?
We're selling to the 60%.
Okay, so.
And when we know how to sell to the 60%, we know how to approach even the 20% who would have done it anyways, right? Like we're just more skilled to show up in support for any type of customer. And we also know how to handle those who won't buy no matter what without taking it personal.
Totally, totally. Now, I think the sampling just creates a lot of concerns for the 60%. Right? They're more likely to go into 1 or 2 oils or go into other things. And so, yeah, I don't know. That's what we found. So I don't know if that's helpful or hurtful or, I don't know, nobody dropped off the call. Okay, that's good. So ultimately, you guys can make your own decision on what makes sense. So hopefully that covers it. Good question. You got me stumped a little bit. Could have at least submitted that ahead. Jeez. Okay. All right, so Sharon asked, do you make the appointment and sample them during the appointment? Well, it's not sampling, right? That's the difference. You might have them try it, but it's not giving them a sample to go and try. Maybe that's the difference. It's not sending them with something. It's saying, here, take a whiff. Would I guess be the difference.
One thing that came up in the chat there, Tasha, was just what do we do with somebody that's out of state? And I think for me, I've had to prove to myself that that's not an obstacle, but I still have to prove to myself over and over that it actually really works. And you can get on the phone with somebody or do something like this where you're just chatting and be able to tell them information and they still choose in even without the product in front of them. I've had people that I don't know, they don't know me, they don't know essential oils, and they've purchased kits just based off of the right information given to them and them seeing how it applies to them, and they just choose it. And so I think that we just have to kind of get out of our box of, oh my goodness, people can't buy essential oils unless they have them in front of them, try them, like whatever it is. Like I think that we just have to be willing to try something different. So
yeah, let's bring that question up at the end. So let's go over the next 4 keys, which are a lot faster than the appointment setting and the controversial sample conversation. So we'll fly through these. Tip number 2, so now we moved into the one-on-one or into the class, so you can apply to both. Tip number 2 is give an agenda so there are no surprises. So at the beginning of your appointment, you can say, today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about your health goals, a little bit about the company, the most popular kits. You don't have to buy anything, but if you see something you like, I'll help you order it today. My part will take about a half an hour. Okay. How do you think that makes a customer feel? Okay, Danielle puts her thumbs up. Lori's nodding her head. Michelle's
Relaxed.
nodding. That's good. Relax. Why?
They know what
You've
to
taken
expect.
away the pressure to buy.
Yep, I'm taking away the pressure. Lori, go ahead.
They know what to expect. There's
Right
no
on.
surprises. Yeah.
Right on. Now, that sentence, you don't have to buy anything, but if you see something you like, of course, I'll help you order it today. Let me explain it. So it's just kind of calling out what's real. And a funny thing happens when you say you don't have to buy anything. If I say, you don't have to buy anything, you say, don't tell me what to do, salesperson. I'll buy something if I want to buy something. Right? But the second part is really important. But if you see something you like, of course, I'll help you order it today. Does that sound like it sounds like a fair agreement, right? We talked about that earlier. But I've set an expectation that if you're going to see something you like, you're going to buy something that day. And so now your customer is creating a running list of all the things they want to buy today. Now, this is different than saying, oh, no, you don't have to buy anything. That's out of fear, right? Okay, don't do that, right? Don't say, hey, Brianna, I'm going to show you this stuff, but you don't have to buy anything. You see how that's a much different message than we're going to cover this, this, and this. You don't have to buy anything, but if you see something you like, I'll help you order it today, okay? You guys see the difference?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's really important that you remove pressure so that customers relax. It increases trust. Tip number 3, or area number 3, is gain input. What do customers like to talk about the most?
Themselves.
Themselves. Do customers buy kits because of your story alone? Whose story do they buy because of?
Theirs.
But what do we start with? And what happens to their face? Same face. If you get anything from this training, just stop making people make that face. Okay? So they make that face, and then they're like, okay, when can we start talking about the favorite thing that I want to talk about, me? Right? So what if we just talked about them? So tip number 3, gain input. The most important topic of conversation in your appointment is them. So we ask 3 questions. First one, what else do you want to learn about today? Number 2, now do you guys want to bore them with information you don't care about? They don't care about? No? Okay. So what if we just told them that? I don't want to bore you with information you don't care about. So tell me about your health goals or your concerns for you and your family. And the third question is, what do you already know about doTERRA? Can someone play along with me?
I will.
Play along? Okay, Lisa, go ahead.
Yes.
All right, let's do this.
Yay.
All right, so you're just going to be my customer. You have to remember, you've never heard of essential oils.
Okay.
Run-of-the-mill potential customer. Okay. Lisa, today what we're going to do is we're going to go over your health goals and concerns, a little bit about the company and the most popular kits. My part will take about a half an hour. You don't have to buy anything, but if you see something you like, I'll help you order it today. Okay?
Oh, okay.
Okay, great. Now, what else do you want to make sure we go over?
That I learn about them. I have no idea what these are about.
Okay. So what the heck is an essential oil?
Right. And what, how safe are they for my family?
Okay, cool. Now, I don't want to bore you with details that don't concern you. So tell me about some of the health goals for you and your family.
My family suffers from allergies, sleep issues, and lack of energy for me, the mom.
Do you have kids?
I have 4.
How old are they?
2 that are 17, 1 that is 13, and 1 that is almost 11.
Cool. Good for you. What else?
Snoring. My husband snores. I need him to stop.
What else?
Digestive issues. That's huge in our family too.
What else?
I think that's about it.
Okay. So I wrote down allergies, sleep and energy. I'm sure those two are related. Sleep, energy, and snoring. I think those.
Yeah, it all ties together, I think.
And digestive issues. Is there anything that I missed?
No, that's it.
Okay, great. Now, what do you already know about doTERRA, Lisa?
Just that all my friends are using it, so I thought I'd figure out more.
Okay.
I've heard a lot. I mean, I've heard buzz, but I don't know what they are, where they come from.
Okay. Okay, so let me tell you a little bit about doTERRA and how to use essential oils. Okay, so we'll pause the role play. Thank you, Lisa. You were amazing.
You're welcome.
How did that feel?
Good. Empowering.
Good. What did everyone on the call think?
It went very smooth.
Awesome. Who was this about?
Customer.
Yeah, it was about her and the customer. Now, notice I didn't say, oh, sleep, we totally have an oil for that. Would that have changed the feeling of that part of the conversation?
It would have made it salesy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or what if I were to say, oh my gosh, allergies? Me too. I totally have allergies.
And let me tell you about the one time that I used essential oils for it and my whole story.
Yeah, would that have changed the environment?
Yes, it takes the focus off of her.
Yeah. The most important part of this conversation is Lisa. That's it, right? I'm going to take notes. Now, I said what else a lot, and that was weird. Creates this tension. You know why? No one ever does it. When was the last time you came home or you did something and your love of your life, your spouse, your best friend, your mom says, how was your day? And you tell them. And they're like, wow. They put everything down. They go, what else? Tell me more. Does that happen to you guys?
Mm-mm.
So how would that make a customer feel if we did that?
Important, validated.
Yeah. What message are we sending our customer?
That we care about them.
That we care, that we actually care. Who got into this business because they love people and wanted to help people? All right, so what if we proved it? This is the part where we prove it. By listening well and asking what else and taking amazing notes. Okay, that's tip number 3, gain input. How does that feel? Now, how is this going so far? Sales training is not so bad. Now, are these things that I've taught you so far, are they high pressure, pushy, manipulative?
Not the way you do it, no.
Could you teach a new person how to say these words?
Yeah.
Right on. Cool. All right, so sales training is not so bad. Tip number 4 is we're going to personalize the features and benefits. Personalize the features and benefits. Okay. So Lisa, let me show you your 2 most popular kits. First oil in your kit is lemon. Now earlier you guys mentioned allergies. Do you guys ever get that gross stuff in the back of your throat?
Mm-hmm.
All the time.
So take a drop of lemon and put it in your green tea. Mine's finished, unfortunately. And that'll clear that right up. You have junior hires and high schoolers. Do they ever have like school projects and you end up with glue stuck to your table or Sharpie marks or
all the time? Yeah.
Okay. So, excuse me. The lemon, this is what you'll use to get that out.
Okay.
How does that one sound?
Sounds delightful.
Next on the kit is lavender. Earlier you mentioned you guys have sleep challenges.
Yes.
This is what you'll put on everyone's feet or put in the diffuser before you go to bed. Do you ever have a hard time sleeping maybe because your 17-year-old's out? Or you're out or
Yes.
this is what you'll use for that. Do any of your kids play sports?
Yes.
Okay, do they get like scrapes on their knees or elbows or anything?
It's mostly muscle and joint stuff because they're runner. I have a runner, and he does sometimes. He's fallen and he gets a scrape. Yeah.
I bet he falls hard if he's running fast.
Yeah.
So the lavender you can mix with melaleuca if you guys get cuts or scrapes or anything like that. This will help with that. And it's also great for sunburns.
Oh, cool.
The next one in your kit is peppermint. Do you ever try to like work out in the morning, get up early?
Not usually. I try to get up in the morning, but it doesn't work very well.
All right, so the alarm goes off, right? And you're like, no.
Yeah.
Keep a bottle of peppermint right next to your alarm clock. When you wake up, put a drop in your hand, take 3 big whiffs, like I showed you earlier, and this will open up your airways, give you more energy. You might actually do that morning workout.
Oh,
or get
fantastic.
Out of bed.
Okay.
Junior hires, do they ever give you a headache?
When do they not?
All right, so peppermint, this is what you'll use for that as well.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and pause there. How do we do? So we're out of the role play. Lisa, how did that feel?
I felt like you were very attentive to my needs.
Cool. How long did that take?
What, 2 minutes?
2 minutes. Now let's say there's one that maybe she's not going to use every day. What if we just told her the truth? Oh my God. This oregano, you're going to use it every day, but you're going to be glad you have it when someone is sick or has the flu. Do you see how she just nodded her head? Good. And we move on to the next. Right? As soon as they nod their head, they're with you and you can move on to the next one. Does Lisa care about every single use of each of these oils? She's going to remember them anyways. No. So I'm going to personalize it. And does Lisa care about how I use it? Who does Lisa care about? Lisa cares about Lisa. So Lisa cares how Lisa's going to use it. All right. Good on that one? So it's usually like a minute per. So who was like 30 minutes, Tasha? You're crazy. Okay, can you see it now? All right, awesome. Okay, 5th tip. Make it easy to buy with a choice of 2. So we get to the end. Lisa, essential oil is going to change your lives. Awesome. Which one do you want?
Ah, that's a lot of options.
How does that make you feel?
Overwhelmed.
Okay, and now you have to do what?
Pick one.
Think about it.
Think about it. I'm going to have to think about that for a while. Ask my husband.
This is a big decision, isn't it? I mean, gosh, the ranges, right? So I don't want to make a wrong decision because this could change my life. I totally believe you. So because I don't want to make a wrong decision, I need to go home and think about it, or I need to talk to the love of my life who'll give me sound input, I'm sure. Now, that's not fair. The husband wasn't here. And so we know how that goes down a lot of times. Now, sometimes it works out fine, but most of the time, it's just not a fair thing, right? And they have to think about it because it's so overwhelming. Number 5, Lori, is give them a choice of 2. And so what if instead I said, all right, Lisa, would you like to start off with small bottles or big bottles?
What I would ask, what's the difference in the small bottle and the big bottle?
Yeah, so this bottle's 75 or 80 drops. It's 150 for these 10. This one's 250 drops. Just bigger bottles. And this one comes, the diffuser's 270. Which do you think works better for you? Is that a hard decision? Do you need to think about it? Not really, right? Can someone make a decision between small bottles or big bottles? Yeah, piece of cake, right? And so whatever 2 kits you choose to start with, right? So the concept here is given choice of 2. You guys ever try to feed a toddler? Right? Do you say, here's the pantry? No, what do? You give them a choice of 2 because we know that it's hard for people to make decisions. So we give a couple of choices out of service to that person. It's not fair for your toddler to give them 100 choices. They can't make that decision. It's the same thing for our customers. Super overwhelming. So when you give them 2, whichever 2 kits you choose to start with, that's up to you. But give them 2, and then 2, and then 2, just 2 at a time until they find something they can afford. All right, so that's tip number 5. So earlier we went back. We went over all the different reasons that customers don't buy. Should we see if those still hold up? Okay, here we go. So if you were the customer, we went over those 5 things. We set up an appointment, gave an agenda, gained input, personalized the kit, and gave you a choice of 2. You tell me if these still hold up. Are you worried about the money? Are you still going to say, I don't have any money? No? We're good? Okay. Do you need to talk to your husband? What do you guys think?
I think those things all still come up.
Yeah.
But
Like-
for the most part.
I personally would still talk to my husband about it.
Okay, what would you talk about?
Just our prices, and we're on a budget, and so we don't spend over $125 without talking to the other person,
Okay,
unless it's pre-planned.
So then I would just show you 2 smaller options that were in your price range. So would that help?
Yeah, but I want the bigger kit, so I want to talk to him to make sure that I can go ahead and buy the $250 kit.
Okay, so you might then be an outlier. Okay, what else? Lisa, you were cool, right? Small bottles or big bottles? Oh, we can't hear you.
Sorry. I would still, so for me personally, $150 is a lot of money. And when I first started, well, this is not me role playing, but when I first started, that was a lot of money for me, even the $150 for the basic kit. And I still get people saying that same thing. It's too much money for me.
Okay, are you following every single one of these 5 keys?
Well, not before. Now I will.
Okay, so I need you guys to pull back. Okay, you're going off previous experience. Okay, so not what you did before, not what you think would happen. Okay, I just scheduled an appointment with you. Okay, you heard me talk with Lisa. Okay, we went over the agenda. Lisa responded, right? We went over all her goals. We connected the dots. You guys were with me on that? Okay, we got to the end. I gave you a choice of 2, and if she can't afford it, I'll give you 2 more that are at a lower price point. So let's say Family Essentials Kit or Home Essentials Kit. Okay? Can't afford it. Okay. Travel Kit, Intro Kit, 30 or 50. Okay? Okay, this is your experience. Okay, so cut out your previous experience and everything your customers have said to you in the past. Can we take this experience, just this one? Okay. Now, if I did that with you, how would you feel?
I would sign up for the Family Essentials Kit, probably.
All right. So it's really important that we're talking about this scenario. Because the more that you start pulling on all these other past things, isn't that going to impact the way you talk to people? And you will likely create what you're trying to avoid. We talked about that in the beginning. I don't want to be high pressure and pushy, right? And so what do? We run the other way, and we become high pressure and pushy, right? So you have to be very careful that we're talking about this same experience. Now, Lisa, were you worried as I talked to you about does it work?
No.
Did you only want 1 or 2 oils?
No, I wanted more because you gave more examples.
Did you think they were too expensive?
No, because you explained how I could use them in multiple ways.
Did you want to go and buy them somewhere else?
No.
Were you unsure if they would be safe?
No, because you said I could use them for my kids even. I mean, if I'm using it on my kids.
Yeah. Were you worried that this was an MLM?
No, you didn't make me feel like I have to sell them myself.
Did this feel like an MLM? The way you were experiencing
No, it felt like you cared. You cared how I need to use them.
Yeah. Are you afraid of a monthly order?
Well, I don't know. We didn't go over that.
So it's not a concern?
No. Oh.
Are you worried about how it works?
No.
Do you need to research?
No.
You just believe me?
Well, I trust you. You're someone I trust because you care about how we are going to use these for our family.
Yep. Did you feel like you needed to try it first?
No.
Do you need to think about it?
No.
Did you feel like you're too busy to learn?
No, because that took, what, half an hour? That was so quick.
And are you worried about conflict with traditional medicine?
We didn't really go over that, though.
So it didn't come up in your head?
No.
So you're probably not going to say it at the end?
Probably not.
Did you need to smell it?
Yeah.
Did you need to?
No, but I would like to as a customer.
Like to, but did you need to?
No.
Why?
Because I know what peppermint smells like. I know what lavender smells like. I know what oregano smells like.
Yeah. Because what's important in your buying decision?
Is how it's gonna, for me, how it's gonna help my family.
Totally. So we're out of reasons you're not going to buy. Now, some of you guys are tough customers. Okay, so let's talk about that for just a second. You might be a tough customer, and you might have your way of buying. That is not all people. And so one of the things that we talk about, and it comes to this 20-60-20 rule, is a lot of times we want to treat people the way we want to be treated, right? And so we take our process and we apply it to others. We will argue that you will want to treat people the way they want to be treated. And so give people the opportunity to make their own decisions without placing your buying process on them. So you might be a super researcher, okay? But does that mean everybody is a super researcher? And so what happens is if you're a super researcher, then you might start applying that to your sales process and giving customers every single detail that they need, right? Out of service to them, because you want to help them, because you care about them, and you don't want them to feel like you didn't tell them something. But what you'll need to figure out is how to simplify your process so that customers stop getting that face. Okay, does that sound fair? So are there adjustments you can make? Sure. Right? Are there things you can adjust to your personality? Yeah, these are 5 key concepts, right? Concept number 1, set up an appointment. Good. Concept number 2, do an agenda. Concept number 3, gain input, personalized features and benefits, 2 choices. Okay, that's the core of what I'm teaching today. Okay, if you're getting caught up in the details, pull back, take a step back, and look at the core principles on how to communicate with people simply, effectively, right? And what makes sense, right? And those are the 5 core principles.
Pasha, I think what's happening potentially, and you probably know this as well, is that we have a lot of people who have been doing this for a long time, right? And so you're saying, like, you're bringing your stuff. So we have all the, well, this and the this and the this and all these different directions, where if we just do take a step back and just go, overall, like, these principles do take care of the majority of customers. But because we've had so much experience in all the ways that it could go, we're all caught up in our head over all the, oh, but what about this? And what about this? And what about that? And so you're just saying, take a step back, chill out for a second. Let's just give this a try.
Yeah. And I mean, figure out what makes sense to you, but the math is what wins, right? We're going to teach to the math. We're going to teach to an 80% closing percentage. Who would like an 80% closing percentage? Okay, hooray. Now, there's variations, right? Some of it is your target market, right? Some of it is this. Some of it is your own skill level, your comfort level, your confidence. There's all these different variation, right? Factors that are going to affect success. Remember, what are the core principles? Set an appointment, give an agenda, gain input, connect the dots simply, and give simple choices. Okay, that's what I'm teaching you guys today. You can get caught up, right, in which kit you do is up to you. But if you're at a 10% closing percentage, guys, kits on dressers. If you meet with 10 people and 2 people, 1 person buys a Natural Solutions, or keep it simple and 6 people or 7 people have a home, right? Like, and then as you get better and bigger and faster and stronger, right, you move up on kits, right? Like, these are adjustments that you make as your skill improves. But look at these key principles, and they work in everything. And once you start to pay attention as a customer, as a consumer, or in other areas of life, you'll see that these are the principles that are just going to work, right? The phrase here, the phrase there, yeah, obviously we have preferences for what works the best. But as long as your math adds up, it doesn't matter, right? If you have 80 to 90% closing percentage, go for it. Keep doing what you're doing. If your team also has a 90% closing percentage. Okay, because those two things are different, right? Because sometimes if you're really, really good at selling, you could just be a total ninja. But can your team do the same thing? And that's what Chelsea and Brianna were talking about, is this duplication concept. Is you want to strip it down to the most simple levels, right? And you can throw out scenario after scenario after scenario after scenario, and we can hash it out for days. Focus on the simple things and listening to your customer and helping and serving your customer without letting other stuff pull back, right? Hold you back. So yeah, I mean, that's it. So we're kind of out of time. Can I at least take a few minutes to show you the thing? And yeah, if you feel like this is a good fit for you, if you felt like this made sense to you, cool. If you're like, this lady's whack, that's fine too. Now, I know there's a lot of questions, and so you might be like super sad. And so we have a quote from Barney in How I Met Your Mother. When I'm sad, I stop being sad and be awesome instead. And so if you'd like to, you can learn the foundational skills of selling and leading with support. And so what makes Emerge different is not just what works for me, it's just what works. There's a deep foundation in science, customer psychology. Everything that we teach is highly researched and proven to be effective in all areas of sales and communication. We're here for you. We will answer your questions. If you guys want, I'll spend an extra 15 minutes or so going through these scenarios after we go over this, if you'd like, because we really want to make sure that we help you and that we support you and we answer your questions. And it's built for people with no sales experience. So if you don't have sales experience, we got you. And if you have tons of sales experience, but you're having a hard time teaching it, this will help you put that together. It's a skill development program, not a system. And so what does that mean? Here's what we're going to focus on. We're going to focus on you building your skill set level. I saw some stuff in the chat going on around scripts and stuff. So I don't really believe in scripts. I believe in outlines. We're going to give you a framework, and we're going to help you to develop your skill set so you understand how to craft your own outlines. First skill is time management. Do you do what you say you're going to do? Do you have a plan for each week? And do you stay focused on your priorities? Setting appointments. Do you reach your appointment set goal on a weekly basis? So if your goal is to set 3 appointments, do you reach it? Well, let's build your skill set in how you're setting up appointments. Earlier, Lisa mentioned she's having a hard time. People are wanting to well, what do I do about my schedule, right? Well, we're going to help you to build that skill so that you're able to schedule more often than not. Closing percentage. Our target closing percentage is 60 to 80% with your price point. That's what we're going to help you to build your skills on. Average order, right? Is it 1 or 2 oils, or are we selling kits? We want to help you develop the skill of having a solid average order, because the more a customer has, the more tools they have available to solve their problems. We're going to talk about customer retention. This is where we talk about LRP and second appointments and helping people set up a wish list and things like that. We're going to talk about asking for referrals consistently so that you don't end up like with this problem of who do I call? Who do I even set up appointments with? We're going to take the same concepts and apply them to recruiting. So that's basically just selling an idea or an opportunity. And so we're going to take the sales conversation stuff. Once you've mastered those skills, recruiting will be a lot simpler. And then we're going to teach you how to coach your people, how to help them to do better. And so those are the skills that we're going to focus on. All of those skills are taught in online modules that you can just watch on your own time. And then you can do online only, or you can do group coaching. And group coaching is where all these questions that are flying through the chat, we will have a coach who will answer these questions for you and work these through. And we have live Zoom calls once a week to be able to work through these questions. Like I said, we want to support you. And so we have 2 different start options. Now, the online stuff you can start watching right away. It's just the group stuff, right? We have it timed. So the first week is just an orientation. Here's what to expect. No big deal. Here's what success looks like. We'll give you a couple big picture concepts, answer some basic questions. The week after that is where we really start digging into the additional content. We have a Facebook group. We can answer every questions, different challenges, things like that. And now you're like, this sounds amazing. How much is it? Because online courses are typically $1,000. Group support is also $1,000. That would put this course at about $2,000. But our mission is to give hope and confidence to every network marketer, regardless of rank. So we want to make it affordable for everybody. So the entire program with group coaching plus lifetime access to the modules is $297. If you want to pay in full. If you want to do it in 4 monthly payments, it's $75. And you'll get access either way right away to all the online content. As a bonus, if you register and you pay in full by Friday, then we will give you this little upgrade package that we have, which is how to sell bigger kits, how to sell lifelong vitality, and how to close at bigger classes. Some of you guys had questions about that. We cover that in this course. It's a $60 course, but we'll give it to you for free if you pay in full by Friday. If you're watching the replay, then just make sure that if you pass the 7-Eleven group, go to this website and you'll find our first group. Brianna and Chelsea, you guys can use the webinar registration link and keep distributing that as a training tool. If they do that and they register, then they can email our team@emergesalestraining.com, and we will honor that fast action bonus if it's within 4 days of their registration. So if you recruit a new builder 3 months from now, just have them use the same registration link that you guys used earlier. it'll kick them straight to this replay, and then they can get the fast action bonus. Some frequently asked questions. When can I start watching the videos? Right away. It's like 11:30 on the West Coast. So it's 6 hours of videos. You can watch them all today if you wanted, better than Netflix. You have lifetime access to the courses. What if I can't make it live to the group coaching? Then we have it recorded, so don't worry about it. Everything is recorded. We do have a guarantee. So if you watch the first 4 weeks in the first month and you try the stuff and you can tell us that it's not worth it, then we will gladly refund you. We don't have an affiliate program, so your leaders, there's no commission or anything for them promoting this. There's 2 reasons for that. We just want people to promote it because they want to promote it. And also it helps keeps our cost affordable to all ranks. You don't need to buy anything else to implement this program. We have, we do recommend profit and loss software. You probably need some roller bottles or whatever you choose to give away for incentives or whatnot, but that'll be up to you. There's no like ongoing cost. We have a team of 10 coaches. And so depending on which program you're in, we have different coaches specializing in different programs. I right now focus on one-on-one coaching, these webinars, and running my own team, my coaching team. And then we do ask that you not switch groups because Kristen would lose all of her hair if you did. So whatever group you're in, if life happens, just catch the recordings. So there's a link that Kristen put in the chat. It just says Brianna Chelsea Team at mergesalstraining.com. The replay will be housed here, but you can just click on Buy Direct Sales Training. You can enroll online only without group coaching, or you can do the group coaching option. It'll kick you down to the bottom. Fast action bonus is here. So let's say pick 7-Eleven. It'll have you fill this out. I'm just going to punch in my stuff just so you can see how it looks. And it'll kick you to this. You don't need a coupon or anything. You just put in your card number and it will let you into the course, and that's it. So I'll go ahead and stop now. Yeah, that's it. So I'll go ahead and Kristen, if you have a list of questions, then how about you give them to me and I'll do them. Brianna, we'll hook you up.
I copied and pasted them. Do you want me to just put them at the bottom of the chat so you can see them all?
Sure. Well, does anybody have any questions about the course before I dig into all your detailed content questions? I'm going to do this for my friends Brianna and Chelsea. Give them some bonus content.
One thing I would just say as people are maybe thinking about questions they may have, I just love that I could binge on it all, because for me, I want it all and I want it now. I want to know how to really make a shift in my business. And I loved it. Honestly, like I could hardly sleep at night. I just wanted to emerge all the day long because it was really just rocking my brain of like, wow, like this makes so much sense. And I just got so excited and fired up. So I loved that I could binge on it all. But that group coaching was super helpful because then you're going to have questions because it is new. And it's like, well, can I say it like this? And what do you think about that? And all that, like just to be able to collaborate and bounce things off. So I love that. And I just think the biggest thing with all this is just when you have these skills, and this is what's tricky because we have all these great, amazing builders who've been doing this for a long time, right? But to be able to really refine the skills and know how you do it is so critical. So when you know how to manage your time wisely and do those things that really bring a return on your investment, when you know how to set that appointment easily, when you're confident in doing the appointment, when you close and it's a no-brainer for your customer, when you do business in that way and it's so simple, you can then turn around and start a new builder easily. And that's where duplication happens. And that's where your business is going to grow long term. Because I think that it's so easy for people to just dive in and be like, I love essential oils. Everybody needs essential oils. And then they're not sure how to transition into getting people to want to do the business with them. But when we keep it so simple then people are like, oh yeah, like what you just did, I could do that, right? And we turn around and just get people started easier. So that's really what this has brought, is just duplication and simplicity.
Cool. And there's no shortcut. I think that's what, like, we try to create shortcuts and it just makes it more complicated. Right? If you want to earn 6 figures, skill up. Right? And this is what's going to give you will never lose skills. Right? Communication skills. You might actually get your husband to take out the trash too.
And Jacqueline asked if Chelsea and I both did this training. Chelsea and I can't do anything but this right now. Like, we don't even know how to be normal human beings right now. All we do, no, not really, but like we have done this, like gobbled this up every bit. And it has really, me and Chelsea both are just like, oh my gosh. So we talk about it nonstop just because we're constantly like light bulb. And so yes, we have absolutely done everything that we're asking you guys to do, and we're going to keep doing it. So we're not telling you to go do something that we're not doing.
Cool. Let me go through some of these detailed questions. And I love this. It's such a reflection of you guys.
It is.
It makes me smile so much. Okay, so the first question is, am I saying we should not give samples to the hosts prior to the party so our guests can have an experience? What do you guys think? What are the pros? So I'm gonna mean coach you guys. What are the pros and cons of giving samples prior to a class? What do you think? No one wants to play. You want me to give you the...
I think it may stalemate them from being willing to purchase if you're giving them the sample.
Okay. What are the pros?
Kind of hooks them in.
Okay. What are any other cons?
You could potentially just be wasting the samples because no one's going to use them.
Sure. What if the hostess can't get it to them? That might impede show rate or lead to canceled classes because your host is like, I couldn't get them the samples. Oh no, let's reschedule the class.
No.
Does that happen or no? No. Okay. Any other pros, cons?
Well, I personally needed an experience before I purchased, and I'm sure there's other people like me because I was super, super skeptical. And even though I trusted the person that was talking to me, I needed to feel it for myself before I spent that amount of money because that's a lot of money for me.
Sure. Yeah. So I would just control it. I'm just a control freak. Maybe that's my problem. Right? So is it possible, Michelle, to in a class give everyone 3 big whiffs of peppermint and have the same effect versus sending out samples on their own?
For the average person, probably yes. Me, I was one of those hard customers where I needed to see something bigger.
Cool. So then I would improvise with you after the fact.
Okay.
And speak to the middle. Right? Because you would ask too, right? You would say, give me more stuff?
No. After my first sample and it worked really well, then I wanted to buy just that one oil.
Thank you for proving the point. I'm joking.
No, I mean, I did. And then after that started working, then I wanted the oils for other things, but it took me time.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I think that is, that's some people.
So are you saying that then what you would do is do the peppermint smell for the majority of the people in the party, and then like if Michelle were at my party and she was voicing all these concerns, kind of let her hang back at the end and then talk to like a one-on-one with her and then maybe give her a couple samples?
Yeah, and I would charge them for her. Charge them $1 or something.
Oh, yeah, okay.
That's from a psychological perspective, though. Once you start giving stuff for free, it creates all sorts of weirdness. Social debt comes into play. Have you ever given someone a bunch of samples and they won't talk to you anymore?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a psychological principle of social debt that you have to be aware of. And I don't talk about that much. I talk more about the realistic stuff, like just the scenario stuff. But the psychology also can mess up some of your relationships when you're teaching friends and family. Because have you ever been invited to dinner? You're compelled to invite someone back, right? Or bring something, or to clear up that social debt. That's a psychological principle. And so when you start to give samples, then you're creating that same environment like you're hosting someone for dinner. And so that's where you might run to, well, maybe they just bought because, or why is there avoidance? Some of that comes into play. So that's the reason I would recommend to do an actual market exchange. $1 to just whatever's fair to just clear that so that there is no social debt in play. But that's.
Can I add to that? If they're spending money on a sample, even if it's just $1, they're going to feel like they need to use it because they put something into it. Like they had to give you something in order to get it, so they don't want it to go to waste now because it's more valuable to them.
Totally. And their wallet's open for you, so they'll be actually, if they spend money with you, they're more connected with you, and they'll stay with you versus like, I have your sample, now let me go on Amazon. Like you're their person. So that, there's some important psychological concepts on the psychology of selling and customer behavior and stuff like that are also at play. Choice of 2, same things for classes. We basically recommend that you start off with 2 kits and say something like, here are our 2 most popular kits. Choose one. If you're not sure, hang back and I'll help you. They want to talk to the hubby. The biggest recommendation with the hubby is to try to eliminate that concern by finding a price point that they're comfortable with. And when you're dropping down, don't make it seem lame. Here's what I mean. The Home Essentials is the most amazing kit in the world. This Family Essentials is total garbage in your tone of voice. Okay, then they'll have to talk to their husband. So as you drop down to a thing, because we want to think about how people feel when they don't buy. Like that's not a good feeling, right? To say, oh, well, I need to talk to my husband. Most people don't love that. And it more often than not doesn't end well. Now, sometimes it does, and that's fine. But I would just recommend to drop down to a price point. We kind of joke about the intro kit being a husband don't kill me kit. And you can call it whatever you want. You don't have to use that verbiage. But find them something that they feel comfortable with so they go home with something that's in a price point they're comfortable with and they start using it. Right? If they start rubbing lavender all over their husband and he sleeps better, are they more likely to get their kit later?
Yeah.
Yes. If you just send them home to say, $275 of the oils, what do you think? Your chances are not great. Or not your chances, their chances, right? Because the goal is a kit on a dresser. Everyone really needs and later wishes they would have bought a bigger kit. How do we focus on a bigger kit? Choose whichever 2 kits you want to start with, and then just do 2 kits at a time. Can I be honest? I don't think I would have ever purchased without an experience. I was super skeptical. Was that you, Michelle?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. In the script, we say, tell them a little bit about the company. What aspects do we cover? How much time do we spend on that? That's something that we cover in the course. It's really basically, here are the reasons that customers turn to doTERRA, and here's what makes doTERRA different. It's like 5 bullet points for each. I don't know, it's 120 seconds, 2 minutes. But it has your customers head nodding. That's something we teach in the course. How much emphasis do we put on recruiting new builders? So this is so we believe in the sales assembly line. And what that means is you can't really go straight for the recruiting if your sales process is messed up, because the people you recruit end up having to sell. So the first thing we focus on is fixing your sales process so it's simple, easy, and fun. So you love your business. Once you love your business, recruiting is going to get a lot easier. We focus on profit. That's also one of the reasons that we talk about curbing sampling, because it impacts profit, right? So we want to help profit, and so we are going to teach you how to have a business overview conversation that makes sense. We're going to teach you how to plant seeds in your sales presentation so that you can schedule business opportunity conversations. We talk about how to put that in your, I guess you call it a wellness consult, right? So we cover, I mean, a week's worth of content is on recruiting new builders in there. Are the videos shareable? The videos in and of themselves are not shareable. But we have kind of an open sharing policy. So once you understand the concept, so don't share the videos, no logins, no passwords, no mass production. But we want you to teach people. Our mission is to give hope and confidence. And so it is our expectation that once you learn the content and master the content, that you start teaching your team. Should you recreate Direct Sales Foundation? No, not cool. But should you coach your people and practice with them and help them to build their outlines? Absolutely. The course starts, you can get the course, I mean, right away. You get the online content right away. We have different groups starting next week and the week after. The training is on sales specifically. Recruiting builders is a sales skill. So master the sales skills, it'll be easier to recruit people. Is there an upsell? So we have, this is the core program. The one after this is called Your Leadership Foundation, which is around coaching and training. So there's two parts to this profession of network marketing, right? First is selling the stuff, and second is teaching the people how to sell the stuff. So Direct Sales Foundation is on selling the stuff, and Your Leadership Foundation is on teaching the people how to sell the stuff. It's a comprehensive sales training program. It's not comprehensive to everything ever. So what do I mean by that? There's a lot of skills to be a really amazing network marketer that aren't really able to be covered in an online course. So we're going to teach you those skills that we talked about. Leadership course covers time management for leaders, coaching, training, troubleshooting, creating buy-in, team meetings, stuff like that. We have one-on-one coaches to personalize stuff. And then we have like continuing education workshops, stuff like that. Live calls are recorded. Carmen says, as long as we're following 5 foundation principles, we can do anything without the samples. Yep, I think that's right. Sampling for Facebook classes. I mean, you guys can figure that out to see what your stats look like. Everything is recorded. What do you do if they want to buy 1 bottle? Yeah, sell to them. I think you can sell to them at retail. I think that's fine. The questions are amazing. I had them all too. Group coaching is the way to go. No way Tasha can cover all today. I'm going to try. Oh, as soon as she answers 1 question, 5 more will come up. So true. Possible set up the appointment with the hubby. Yep. Okay, I got all the questions in the chat. What else do you guys got before we hang up the phone?
One other thought I had, Tasha, is just to be clear that, we said, this is a closing workshop, and we've gone into so many details, and we didn't just focus on the end of the presentation, right? Like, this is how you close, da, 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 da. So I hope that people understand that your closing starts from the moment you set your appointment and how you do that. Like, this whole process, these 5 steps that Tasha has shared today are the critical pieces to the close. So even how you set the appointment, and obviously how you do the appointment and all that, but all these things are just, it lines up this perfect scenario to really support the customer so that the close is a no-brainer for both of you.
Yeah, thank you. And the target's like 60 to 70%, right? So guess what that means? Not every single person is going to buy. Right? But what we're trying to do is we're trying to put the odds in your favor and help the customers. The group coaching is at the same, whatever group coaching you sign up for, it'll be at the same time. Recordings will be posted that night or the next morning. And the training is 1 hour per week, like for the group coaching. So in the group coaching, we'll dig into the most frequently asked questions, and then troubleshoot and stuff and create a community. So if you're super detail oriented, please take the group coaching. Brianna's like, my pain. And we'll have your back. So I guess that's it. We're super grateful that you took the time today. I mean, it's been quite a long time. We hope that you found value in this and that it's helpful for you. And if there's anything else that you guys need, let us know. Cool? Thanks for the tough questions, Brianna. I'm coming after you later. Now, I think it's super important to ask really hard questions. Like, we have to talk about this stuff. We can't be afraid to ask questions. We can't be afraid to challenge convention. We have to figure out, because for a lot of us, this is how we feed our families, you know? We have to ask the tough questions. So, all right, guys, have a good day. If you need anything, the email is kristen@marriagesalestraining.com.
Thank you.
All right, take care, guys. Thanks for hosting the webinar, Brianna and Chelsea.